Welcome to another episode of You Go Bro podcast. Today's episode is about cancel culture and sheep herd theory. We've got a special guest here. We've got Romy, Gama from the Pyjamas Club podcast.
Woo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
But we've got no pajamas today.
Got no pajamas today.
We're
I know,
We're in our
sorry.
daytime clothes today.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a...
Is it a letdown?
I thought you were going to come with the pajamas.
I think if I was wearing them alone, it wouldn't be the same.
Come with pajamas for all of us.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad.
We'd have paid you for the pajamas. We wouldn't have expected them free.
Okay, next time.
Now, normally we start with You Good Bro, but as you remixed it when I was a guest on your podcast, I'm going to remix it as you're a guest on our podcast. So, as you start on your podcast, you always say bedtime thoughts. So, bedtime thoughts is a segment that you have on your podcast where you talk about things which keep you up at night. So, any thoughts?
Keep it clean.
He's keeping it PG.
I just,
It's like, I don't want to say, what are your bedtime thoughts? He doesn't want to say that.
There's definitely context. Yeah.
So what is my bedtime thought? Okay. So I was thinking about this recently. Threads. I don't know what it is about Threads, but every time I go on Threads, I turn into a social warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy. I don't understand. It's like immediately activated. And I was reading something that someone wrote, basically saying that motherhood is essentially leadership.
Oh.
And they were describing, and it made so much sense, right? Because when they were breaking down like what makes a good leader and all of the things that people have to do during motherhood or fatherhood as well, obviously, you can definitely see the parallels. So like they were talking about, so basically during motherhood, what they're doing essentially is raising this person, caring for them, giving them like tools to succeed in life, right? Educating them, nurturing them, ideally outside of whatever it is that they want, right? So basically giving you all of these tools to succeed. That's literally leadership, right? Being of service to someone and like nurturing them, releasing them into the world and giving them everything in your power to let them be great. That's literally leadership. And I never thought about that before.
I like that. I mean, I've not really been on Threads that much. Just so for my own head, is Threads essentially like a new version of Twitter or X? Is that what it is? 'Cause I don't really go on it.
Fair enough.
So-
Yeah, I guess. Instagram does too much. Meta, you guys are doing too much. Enough. They're always coming up with things that no one asked.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
enough. The instance thing, for
Oh,
example.
man.
Have you seen that?
That's weird. I don't get that.
do you ever remember Be Real a few years ago? It's meant to be like Be
yeah,
Real.
be real. Where it's just like
Yeah.
literally a second of your life.
But they are doing too much.
Yeah, well, it's always trying to find the next thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like we're happy with what we've got. We're happy with Instagram, Threads. Well, some people are happy with Threads. I don't go on it, but Instagram, whatever else, everyone's happy with it. So why are they always changing it? No idea. But that is a very deep bedtime thought. My bedtime thought is not going to be anywhere near as deep as that because I just think about stupid stuff when I'm going to bed. My bedtime thought last night was City FA Cup champions.
Oh my God.
That's how non-deep my brain can be a lot of the time. That was my bedtime thought. But what do I normally think about when I go to bed? I normally think about work. And I think that's a bad thing. I shouldn't be thinking about work when I'm going to sleep, really.
Yeah.
Well, unless I have to and it's practical. But a lot of the time I'm just thinking about what I'm doing the next day at work. And so I haven't really switched off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe that's not a good thing.
Mine for this week, because I got in trouble when I was on your episode.
Yeah.
Because the plantain was...
No, blind.
Because the plantain was...
Yeah.
Shout out Kingston, boy. He was on to me, man.
Yeah, you attacked an entire
All right.
community. And it came up again, by the way.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Go check out that episode out if you haven't already.
You ain't
But,
listening.
mine is... I feel overwhelmed a lot.
Okay.
And it's like how to switch off.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a lot about that. We've had episodes about being offline. But it's like, how do you manage all that stuff? And that's what I'm sort of... That's my bedtime sort of thing.
See, so no, I mean, you guys have deep bedtime thoughts. I'm just thinking, what's the story about tomorrow? Am I going to be able to do the story tomorrow? It's literally my bedtime thought. So, yeah, no, it's deep.
Yeah.
But I like that. That's a really good story. We won't rip it off. We won't rip off that idea. But it's a very good idea for a second.
We're going to do a
Let's
new
try and do
segment.
like daytime thoughts. I don't know.
Episode thoughts.
Definitely won't rip it off.
But
Maybe.
let's introduce yourself.
Yes.
For those who don't know, this is Romy, and she does the Pyjamas Club podcast. How did it start?
How did it start? Honestly, I would describe myself as being a creative person that fell under the trap of capitalism and unfortunately has to work 9 to 5 in the corporate world. That kind of crushes your creativity if you let it. So I guess I needed an avenue to be creative, and at least for me, oftentimes people say that create brings more creativity into your life, right? The more you create, the better you get at it, the more ideas you get. But I think there's a step before that. And for me, that step is being around other people that are creative. So I really just wanted to talk to people that would inspire me. So really, I did it for myself.
Yeah.
And thankfully, other people are enjoying as well. But the idea of the podcast is to inspire anyone that wants to start something or that is already working on it, but, things take time to grow and is kind of losing inspiration. So the idea is to inspire people. It's a good mix of healthy conversations with a very chaotic mindset. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's how I would describe it.
I've got a question for you because we don't really, because we do our podcast, I don't really ever ask other people about how they find doing theirs. So like, because I know how we find doing ours, I know how busy it is and how we try and record every week. I know we're talking off mic about how we now do batch recordings and all the rest of it. But for you, like starting the podcast, how easy or how hard was it in terms of A, getting guests, and B, being organised with it all? How difficult or not difficult as it may be was that for you?
Yeah. So I have ADHD, and being organized is very important for me because the moment something slips out, everything else crumbles down. So the organization part was not that complicated. I never expected people to agree to be on the podcast. To this day, I'm still like, why would you say yes? Like, do you hear some of the things we say? Like, why is he going to do this? But yeah, getting guests was not complicated because the creative scene in Manchester is very tight. So people have been super welcoming, very fun, and very engaging. That has been cool. The hardest part has been the logistics. So where to film, when to film, being flexible as well. I'm grateful for the fact that I work remotely and I can do my own schedule, working as a contractor and stuff like that. But I know that it's not the same for other people. I know that there's a lot of creatives that also have a 9 to 5 and they're kind of stuck to that schedule. So that part, trying to make sure that we can shoot at certain times, that part has been the complicated one. And I know that you guys probably can relate.
Be the same.
Yeah.
Be the same, innit? Like, we've both got full-time jobs, as well. And I think like it is getting to, and try not to get to the point where like because we release every Friday, as you should know by now, viewers. And it was like, we get to the point where it was like Wednesday night would come and we'd be messaging like, shit, man, I've not got an episode for this week.
Yeah.
And it was like, we never wanted to miss a week. So I don't know, like, when I look back, maybe there were some weeks that we should have said, you know what, we won't post this week.
Yeah.
But we couldn't. We were just like, no, we have to get something out. So whether it was just like one of us doing an audio one, like audio only, because that is a lot easier to do. As you know, that is a lot, like the video stuff is great and it pays off dividends in terms of social clips, but it's a lot harder work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like audio, you record it and it can be up on Spotify within like, not even half an hour.
But I think, again, that's come with time.
Yes.
Like, probably when we first started, it's just like those little, they were like, we're like teething, we're like trying to work it out. And then as we come along, we've sort of figured out ways where we can manage it on our time as well. Which is very important as well. And one thing that we always talked about in your episode is the digital footprint. I'm not getting cancelled, which is one of the two topics that we have today. So, I think in this day and age on social media, everyone has their personal information on the table, on the internet. And this is a great topic that you suggested. I won't take credit for it. Like people use cancel for everything, for it's like losing brand deals, as we've seen with certain people within the UK and the US, and also can be getting blocked by your friend or family or an ex-partner or something like that. And it's like, what would you define as like cancel culture?
That's a very interesting question. I would define cancel culture as not necessarily something negative, not exactly something positive. I think in its essence, cancel culture should be about bringing accountability to people, which is never a negative thing, right? But the way we see it actually perform nowadays. It's more like if there's someone that we don't agree with, oftentimes people tend to just cancel them online, right? This can include like very negative comments. There's certain like nationalities that if you mess with them, your career is over. Brazil is one of them. Do not mess with Brazilians because they will cancel you.
Yeah.
And which is very unfortunate, right? All of these things happen and it's true, but at the same time, cancel culture is also not real because we see that there's so many people that have done terrible things and people claim to cancel them online, but then every year they have a new album, every year they have a new tour, every year they have a new brand deal, you know what I mean? So
Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Anyway.
it's a tricky one.
And it's almost like that selective bias.
Yes.
Yeah.
That selective bias. If like I said, if you say something to one particular group, the wrath is a lot worse. If you say it to another group, some things are, oh, let's explain, you know?
Yeah.
There's that great thing, you know, that comedian, what's his name again? Paul Mooney.
Oh,
Paul Mooney.
Fave.
You ever remember
He died recently, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Rest in peace.
Died, isn't it?
He's got this great skit about like talk about like mental health in particular spaces and talk about how it's treated differently in depending what race or background you're from. And he talks about like, do you remember that skit?
I'm sure I've seen it.
So
I'm sure.
Basically, he talks about like he's pretending to be in a courthouse, and he's like,
yes,
yeah.
That's what I talked about, yeah.
And he's talking about like,
yeah.
even like with cancel culture, certain people get a buy depending what the background is. And he says like, if you act a certain way, people will say, oh, it's mental health. But if another person acts that way, it's cancelled, they lose the brand deals, they lose the... That's prevalent across the board, I feel.
I feel like I need to explain the skit now a bit more.
Yeah.
So basically, from what I remember anyway, Paul Mooney is like, he's a very, very controversial comedian. Have you heard of him? No, he was very controversial in the fact that he just said whatever he thought and he did not care if you liked it or not. And he was very kind of like that way anyway. So he basically talks about how, for example, say a white person goes and kills 10 people. Yeah. Like, it'll be like, oh, we must have a look and see there's something not quite right with them. If it's a black person that's gone and done that, lock them up, throw away, you kill them. You know what I mean?
10 sentences.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that you guys brought up comedians specifically. Yeah. So there's this running joke. Well, I follow a lot of American community. Yeah. I don't know why, but I do. And there's a running joke amongst them that it basically goes like, if a white comedian says something racist, Netflix will give them a show.
Yeah.
But if a person of color does something, to be honest, anything really, then they just lose access to the platform entirely.
Everything.
And there's so many people. I'm trying to think of like at least one. The only person that I can think of is Joe Rogan, but I don't even want to bleep his name. Bleep his name.
But yeah, 100%.
But you mentioned one thing about like accountability and cancellation. Mm-hmm. Is there a difference and where is the line?
So I'm trying to think where I read this, but I was listening to another podcast of someone talking about cancel culture, and they suggested that alongside cancel culture, there should also be redemption culture. Oh. So an idea where people, we are holding them accountable for their actions, but then we're also giving them an option to kind of redeem themselves, right? Because people grow, people change, even all of us in this room, right? The people we are now, we weren't this version of us like 5 years ago.
100%.
So essentially what that person was trying to suggest is like, how can we hold people accountable, but then also giving them a way to kind of redeem themselves? And honestly, I don't know how. From my perspective, there's certain things that you cannot redeem yourself from. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as a human, if you do certain things, you shouldn't be allowed to be outside. Yeah. You need to be locked up.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Like, well, I think then it's like, for example, you know, there are people, let's take Kanye West, for example, or or whatever he's calling himself nowadays, him. He, obviously, the Jewish community went down a very slippery slope and got cancelled pretty much, certainly by certain corners of the world. Then he went to speak to a rabbi, didn't he? He was in the clip.
Yeah.
The rabbi, like, more or less gives his forgiveness. It's like, okay, well then should we not forgive Kanye for that? And like, it's like redemption. Is that what it needs, or is that too performative? Is that kind of like, oh, let me just go and speak to Rabbi, this will look great. Do you know what I mean? But you can never, it's proving someone's intention behind it, and I think that's difficult. So yeah, we can bring in a redemption culture, but it's like, how do we then almost kind of not monitor it, but how do we kind of, I don't know, like make sure it's that the intent is real and it's not just for oh, I need to make some money, so let me just say what I need to say.
Yeah,
it's hard to prove if someone's doing it for that or not.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
But it's really tough because you see now, cancel culture doesn't really exist anymore because you see people in power.
Yeah,
and you look at people in power and you're like, how?
Yeah.
So that's my question to you, right?
Now,
I know. Do you think the word's lost all meaning at this point, or do you feel that cancel culture still carries weight in certain communities? You mentioned Brazil, places like that.
I think cancel culture carries weight in certain communities. You can, if you look a certain way, if you attack a certain group of people, you will most likely get canceled. And I guess going back to the definition of being cancelled, I guess we could add loss of like monetary power, whatever there, right? You lose the opportunity of work. People will speak poorly of you. And, everyone goes online. Like, I assume if you go online and you see 1,000 comments that are just people talking trash about you, that will like hurt you mentally, right? That's very taxing.
Yeah.
So I think it's real, but it's real under certain conditions. If you're a Black man talking about Jewish community, you will get cancelled. Mm-hmm. Yes, you will lose opportunities. But if you're a Black man constantly degrading Black women, you will keep going on tour and people will buy your tickets.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
and I think that just summarizes like the different ways how it's all like constructive. It's not there's not one set way of how someone can.
But things like people get cancelled for a reason, innit? Like people quite often, it's not the case of someone just cancelled because I don't like the look of them. But they've always done something or said something to trigger that cancellation, essentially. So that's where that say it's like accountability. It's like, okay, well, no, that person doesn't deserve anything essentially because they've done this. But like you say, it's not the same across the board. Like I say, it's different for different communities and different people. I think a lot of communities are probably more forgiving because, I don't know, say for example, if it's a musician and it's like, oh, I really like that song they did and I don't know, I'm the same. Like, all right, Chris Brown, take him for example. I would never go to one of his concerts ever based on what he's done.
Yeah.
And that was years ago, but to me, that still remains. And I don't know how much he's done in the way of redemption. So I'm just like, I would never go. But then the people who, and I won't name it obviously, but I've seen people who talk about domestic abuse and it's terrible, dancing up at the AO Arena or wherever he played Co-op Live to Chris Brown. I'm like, hold on a minute, this doesn't fit. So again, some people giving allowances because, but they did a good film. I like that film they did, or I like that track they made.
But there's always intent behind why someone's being cancelled. Like I always say about Michael Jackson. Yeah. However, what way you see Michael Jackson being cancelled, I'm thinking like, why him? Why was he portrayed in a certain way? Was he just an obscure character, or was it the power he had? I don't think a lot of people know he owned half of Sony's publishing. Yeah. That includes the Beatles, Eminem, Britney Spears. So at one point, he owned a big proportion. So he had a lot of. And obviously, he was an interesting character, didn't he? He had as anyone who might have seen a biopic recently, had an interesting life. But he was there to be taken down and to be cancelled. Yeah. So with cancel culture, it's important to understand the circumstances of why someone is being cancelled.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. The reason behind it, and also like what the circumstances are. Was it their own actions, or is there a particular reason as to why they're being cancelled?
Yeah.
I think for Michael Jackson specifically, there's a whole other thing that contributed to his cancel culture moment, but it was also a different time, right? Yeah. Also, he's rest in peace. Like, it's just not the same, but it was completely different. The power of the internet back then versus now is just not a good correlation. You know what I mean?
He got cancelled off an ITV documentary, so really, or it started.
He got cancelled a few times.
Well, I think the prime cancel reason was accusations of child.
But the ITV documentary.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, I see you documented. I know I said that, but anyway, here we are.
Which is a very heavy, that's a very heavy accusation.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about it. I honestly don't.
Well, the thing is, I think right, how do we measure it? Because it's like with me, okay, if someone's, do we just say, okay, if the courts haven't, if the jury's not convicted them, then that's what we must go by. It's hard because these people are still going to have their thoughts regardless, even though he was never found guilty of anything. It's like, do we take that and say, okay, well, he's not been found guilty, therefore didn't do it? Or do we then, because then to me, the waters are muddied then, because it's like, okay, well, I could live my life like that and say, okay, well, any judgment the court hands down, that's what we have to go with. It's like, well, actually, no, because you might know other bits. So, do you know what I mean? I'm not articulating myself.
It comes down to the point, like Romy said before, about people change.
Yeah, well, yeah,
people change. And it's like, you, in a previous version of yourself, you could have been cancelled. You know, we've talked about it.
Me, in person?
No, not you. Not you. Hold on.
Are you trying to say something?
No. I'm saying like in previous versions of yourself, you might have looked at yourself and say, that wasn't me. I was acting in a particular way, which I wouldn't, the toxic version of me wouldn't deem acceptable. So it's that, it's like you say, there's a vindication and then there's this sort of, you know, the rehabilitation, you know.
I'd have been cancelled back in 2005 now.
But what I'm trying to say is like, so I look a lot of like, I watch a documentary about the prisons in like Scandinavia, right? And a lot of their prisons in Scandinavia, they are more like therapeutic because they realize someone's done something wrong and there's an inherent issue with this person. And instead of just being like, I'm going to lock you up, I'm going to do, you know, they have strategies to make people
reintegrate.
It's very rehabilitation.
Yes, and I think that is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's what it should be like. You know, I feel that like, I don't know what everyone's views is on this, but I feel that a lot of people, and again, it's one of those things where you're like, is it performative? Is it just because I know this will get me a lighter sentence or I'll get out quicker? A lot of people do turn to religion which can be good for that person if they've genuinely found something that has changed their life and made them a better person, then fine. But is it the kind of thing where it's like, if I start reading the Quran and I become a Muslim, I'm probably going to get out of here like in half the time. Again, it's proven intention. How do you do that? So rehabilitation in prisons, I think, is something that, again, it needs to be looked at as, okay, is this person just doing this stuff just to get out early, essentially, or are they genuinely changing?
But I think, again, cancellation culture comes into our next topic for the episode, which is the sheep mentality.
His computer was rebooting.
Man.
You press the update button. You press the update button.
Hey man, I'm trying to be professional here, bro.
I wouldn't have noticed, to be honest.
So
we got to be open to the view. Go on.
So basically, like the sheep herd theory, which is a theory which says humans default to group behavior under social pressure, especially online. Ooh. And this kind of plays into cancel culture and people who privately disagree on something. And then
that's a good
publicly
topic.
You know, pile on.
Do you want to start? Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think so. With a lot of these theories, there's different avenues that you can use to try to explain someone's behavior, right? For this one in particular, there's also another avenue to that kind of tries to link instinct to it. So it basically says that humans have a tendency to follow others, especially when they're in situations of pressure or like social pressure and things like that, just because that can help with survival in a specific environment. But to bring it like to another avenue, we all have podcasts, we all publish content and stuff like that. I notice on my videos, right, whenever there's the first comment or the first two comments are like negative, everyone else after will comment something negative. So then, if the first few comments are positive, people are most likely to continue that positivity thread. So I'm thinking to myself, like, and I've tested this multiple times. Like sometimes I even go to fake account and comment something negative just to see what's going to happen. And it just makes me think, like, how do we when we're following people and other people's opinions and things like that, are we doing this consciously? Like, how do we trigger our brains into thinking, okay, this is actually what I think and I believe versus I'm just following this just because? And the second part of that question, how do I catch myself doing it so that I don't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a hard one. I think I can be. I totally have done this sometimes. I mean, probably not so much nowadays. I feel I'm maturing at the grand old age of 34. But prior to that, like in my younger years, I probably do the same. Or to a degree, unless it's something that I really didn't agree with, then it's different. But by and large, I think it's almost easier. Football's a good one because, like, for example, if we watch like that, being a City fan, we've had a lot of success recently and all the rest of it. But you get some, like, I'll watch a game, for example, and I'll have an opinion on the game. Then if I tweet it and then I see someone else that's got a different opinion and they're getting more traction, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. So actually, sometimes that makes you doubt your own things. And well, if they're getting more traction or more people agreeing with them, and then I'm thinking, actually, have I seen the game different, like, wrongly, basically?
It's a weird one because sometimes when it's like a negative opinion, everyone knows negative energy travels faster. Yeah. Negative news travels faster, right? Yeah. Sometimes the initial comment might be about something else and someone else will bring something else up about that person. When something happens in the news and they're like, someone getting some sort of controversy, cancel culture, I know there's one about, it's like James Corden, apparently he's rude behind the scenes and stuff like that. And then everyone suddenly comes out with all the James Corden stories, everyone who works behind the scenes.
Like Ellen.
And it's like, it's like that. They wait till something happens for everyone to pile on. Yeah. Once they have an excuse, once the door opens.
Well, maybe people just feel kind of safer in a way doing that because, okay, I'm not. Also, that would, in that situation, that would reassure you that, okay, maybe I wasn't making it up or I wasn't, seeing something that wasn't there. Actually, if these people are saying the same thing, then yeah. So I think in that way, I think that's slightly different in that regard. I think that's more about people thinking. That's more of a community thing then, because it's like, okay, well, if that one's had the same thing, that's the same thing, maybe I can chat to them and get their experience and that becomes more of a community, I think. When it comes to certain other things, I think sometimes people just like to have an opinion for the sake of it, and I just put it out for the sake of it, just to comment on something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And not feel left out. If everyone else is commenting, then like, oh, I want to comment as well. But sometimes that person might not even have an opinion on the thing. That's why they've just followed what's on. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't actually have an opinion on it.
Also, to talk about online specifically, I don't know if you guys remember, a few years ago, Meta specifically, they were very heavy on getting rid of all bots, right? Yeah. It was like bots, there's no space for bots in our platforms, yada, yada. Now, most of the comments that you see are literally bots. Yeah. I saw this amazing joke. I don't remember the name of the creator, sorry to you, where he was basically saying that, the UK is just so lazy that they even outsource racism through like buying bots.
Oh, did you hear about the guy in Sri Lanka?
That's funny. No.
Right. So there's a guy in Sri Lanka and he basically owns a bunch of like the right-wing accounts.
Yeah. Okay.
And he made hundreds of thousands off doing that because he knew. Wow. Maybe he just researched the herd mentality and was like, if I post all this by this person or by in this angle, it'll bring traction. And he had all these like faceless pages with what do they like? They like the lion and they like the
just things like that.
The knight with the white with the English flag. They like all that stuff, and it's like he just realised he could make some monetary gain from it. So
I can't hate. No, I'm joking.
Okay, I can't hate. I'm sorry, I get it. I understand.
Speaking the money and but no,
I've got one question for you. And since you started your podcast, has there ever been a case where you felt like you've had to hold an opinion because you're expected to hold that opinion? Or have you ever felt like, oh, this is my platform, I can hold whatever opinions I like?
So I've never faked an opinion or hidden something, but it's been filtered for sure. I can't just say things the way I think them because, and then Victoria, she's my executive producer, she's a really good help at that. Sometimes I say certain things and she goes like, turn it down a little
bit.
Maybe
we need to hire you.
But there's definitely a pressure there because we all know that a digital footprint is out there. Yeah. So have to be aware of the impact that some of my words can have, even with like a tiny platform. Yeah. But also to safeguard the guests as well. Like you never want to put them in a situation where maybe they've said something that will backfire. yeah, I definitely
Well,
filtered.
we've had that already. Well, we won't name the guest, but we
What
had a
is
guest
it?
too.
You got someone cancelled.
Oh no, cancellations here. We're a very wholesome podcast. No, but we had a guest who basically wanted some stuff omitted from it because he'd said it all, and then afterwards thought, actually, maybe not. And as you know, it's that safeguarding aspect of it as well. So we very gladly said, yeah, no problem. Just cut it out, no problem. You know, with me, we didn't really say any controversial stuff. I don't think,
because mostly our podcasts are either topic based or around life, well-being, and mental health, so they're quite wholesome. And I feel like we do that way because we have these conversations.
Pyjamas is also
no, but I think we're also assuming that people don't get cancelled for saying things that are not cancel worthy, because that also happens. And I have an example of this. Do you know who Kev on Stage is?
Yeah, Kev on Stage.
Love Kev on Stage. His content is amazing. They are actually, he has a podcast called Here's the Thing. It's the only Patreon I've ever paid and I will ever pay for, because they're incredible. Shout out to also Angel Lakita Moore, which is her guest, co-host. But he's very like churchy, right? Being a part of church is a part of his brand. And he's very open about how much his involvement with God and his faith changed across life. So one of the things that he talks about a lot right now is how this taught hatred towards queer people has been fostered like in church, but now as an adult, he constantly challenges that and tells people that there's no place for that type of hatred on the Bible. That's all man-made. And the amount of hate that he gets from this, which is something you would consider wholesome, telling you
exactly. That's a nice thing to say. That's
right,
nice
telling you that if you believe in God, you shouldn't hate a group of people. That sounds very wholesome to me. I don't know.
It does, but I also feel that religion, whatever way you comment on religion, someone's gonna have something negative to say or the opposite. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, religion is always that kind of topic that I would always stay clear on this pod or any other pod.
Yeah,
I don't speak publicly about religion.
There's that respect level where it's like, even though I don't go to church every week, I come from a background of going to church, growing up in Sunday school and stuff like that. So I think it's just there's certain areas where you have to sort of, in a sense.
I have a question for you.
Go on.
Why do you think that speaking your mind or bringing up religion would be disrespectful?
That comes on to our next section.
It's like you can see. No.
Which is having your own opinion and when it costs you. So, like, have you ever held back an opinion on one of your episodes or on one of the platforms that you have because of how it might land?
So, I filtered it. Never held back, but I guess filtering is holding back.
You don't change it.
Yeah, I don't change it, but I've definitely filtered it. Try to make the deliver more friendly, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't know. One thing that I've noticed in starting this podcast is that if people want to take things out of context and make an issue out of it, they will.
Absolutely.
And there's really nothing you can do to stop it. And if you filter yourself too much, then you just end up like losing your essence. And then whatever content you're creating, that's not your art because it's not yourself anymore.
Yeah, totally.
But on the other hand, though, I think I've fell into the trap of filtering myself so much to the point where it almost comes across as agreeing with something. And that's something that I have to work on. I want to make it clear that there's certain things I do not agree with under any circumstance. Like, for example, if we were bringing back the conversation about redemption and all of that stuff with cancel culture, I believe that there's certain things you can never redeem yourself from.
Yeah.
That's just a personal belief of mine. It goes against the entire foundation of psychology. But anyways.
Well, do you know what, to be like that, being a journalist, that I have to do that most days of my life. Filtering opinion. It's almost seen as a journalist can't have an opinion because we have to be unbiased about everything. It's like, of course I've got an opinion on things, I'm human. But at work, I definitely filter it. On this pod, for the same reasons that the work thing, I definitely filter it. Because if people see me on the pod saying a certain thing and then I go and interview somebody that, they're going to say, oh, well, I saw, no, actually, you think that. Then it might just ruin the interview from moment one. And that's like,
Can I ask you a question?
So it's, of course you can.
I'm so sorry. This is not my podcast.
It's fine.
Go for it.
When I was younger, I used to look at journalists as very like groundbreaking people. Like I used to think, oh my God, look at these people. They are challenging whoever's in front of them. What are your thoughts about the state of journalism like nowadays?
Journalism. I don't mind
Big-
I watch it.
big
No,
question.
Sorry.
no, journalism is, I think, very. When I say messy, I mean in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of only because there's so many portals and platforms that people like. You got citizen journalists. I agree with citizen journalism. I do, because I think, journalists are humans. We can't always get to something. So actually, citizen journalism helps. It gives an alternative viewpoint. It can do, depending on what it is. But I think it's so open right now that anybody could write anything and people would believe it. I remember going to a job last year, maybe the year before, and we were vox popping people, asking them about something political. And one of them goes, "Oh, I don't watch the news. I just get my news from people on Facebook." And it's like, wow, is that where they're at? Is that where? So I go out and bloody film packages all day and edit packages and all that. And you just go on Facebook and see what Steve from Ormskirk is saying. Anyway, so I think in that way it's a bit messy in terms of like, I always say to my dad's one of these people that he might have outlandish views on certain things. And nothing bad, by the way, I'm not saying. But just
Gonna get your
different
dad
views.
cancelled.
Sorry, Dad. I know I can't. He's been on the pod like twice. We can never cancel Tony.
Shout out Tony, man.
Shout out Tony. Never. He's given us our biggest viewership in like 2 years. Cannot get him cancelled. So, but I will say to him, because he'll send me videos of people sat in the bedroom talking, whatever, right? And it'll be like, oh, chemtrails, whatever else. And he will say, I'm going to get cancelled. Anyway, he will say to me, "Oh, look, I watched this thing." I'm like, "It's a bloke sat in this bedroom." Like, and you got to take these things. Some of these things that people are saying, okay, I might agree with some of it, not chemtrails. Might agree with some other stuff or whatever. But I feel that, like, whatever you believe, you can find something out there that says, "Oh, yeah, that's right."
Yeah.
You'll
So
find-
it's difficult in that way.
I think everyone will find their sort of echo chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the echo chamber doesn't necessarily mean something's reality. And I think it's harder now. And that's a question I've had next. And this is for you and Romy. Do you think like social media has made things harder or easier to be genuine in terms of having like nuanced opinions?
That's a good question.
Do you want to go? Shall I go? Do you want to go?
I feel like you want to go.
So, yes. I feel that, like, you almost have to. Well, we talked about it the other week, didn't we? I can't remember if it was Maya, Paul. We did one. I can't remember which episode it was. Whatever. Watched them all. It was one where we were saying, okay, like with Instagram, social, whatever. Like some people almost have a double life with it. Do you know what I mean? Like what you see on Insta, Facebook, whatever. It's not them. That's what they're portraying because they want people to see them like that. And I just think, they might not get to a point where they'll find out that actually I'm not really like that. And sometimes I think like it is a performative thing on Insta and stuff. I'm pretty sure I've probably done it in the past or whatever, but you almost do it subconsciously. It's like, well, okay, that's my Instagram personality. That's what I'm like on Instagram. I like to think I'm fairly genuine. I like to think that people meet me and say, oh, actually, yeah, that's the same person. But a lot of the time, yeah. And I think people will hold back on opinions because maybe that's not the fashionable opinion to have. And you think, okay, to get more followers, more subscribers, I need to have these opinions because that's what everyone thinks. And they'll just jump on and they'll do it for that reason and hold back what they really think.
Yeah.
I would like to think I don't do that. I mean, I'm like yourself. I'll filter, but I won't change what I think. But I might not tell you as much about what I think about that subject then, But yeah. That makes sense. I ramble a lot. I do ramble a lot. Sorry.
I know.
Yeah, you know.
Go on, what is it?
So your question was whether or not I think that social media makes it harder for
the
people.
question.
Sorry, I need to go back because like
I'm really like that. I really get
20-minute ramble.
you'd think we
Sorry,
don't have
sorry.
podcasting.
Sorry.
Got three people with podcast experience. Anyway, do you think social media has made it harder or easier to have genuine, nuanced opinions?
Okay. I think it's both. Honestly, I think that because there's so many things happening right now, right? It's like, for example, people not checking their sources.
Yeah.
People don't understand context anymore. It's insane. People will see something and they will take that 30-second, 40-second video as like
100%.
someone's entire view of the world almost.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think it made it easier in the sense of everyone can have an opinion and with enough traction, your opinion will matter.
Mhm.
But then it also means that people that have terrible opinions, they also have a voice and they get to say whatever they want, do whatever they want, and they will find other people and bots.
Yeah. and I think that's kind of divided society because everyone's now got access to find the people that everyone feels like their people are the right people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about realizing the context behind the information and realizing what are you trying to get out of this. And I've seen it. You've seen it politically. You've seen it in different cultures. You've seen it across the spectrum of social media. That your opinion, it's always important to have different opinions around you so you can sort of contextualize what the information is instead of just going, like you said, Dave from Shropshire says this and it's all it's all true. But I think again we've covered it already, but the final point was the mental health toll of like the sheep herd theory and like the redemption as well. Now from our standpoint, I believe that when you do get cancelled, there is that sort of like sense of everyone's against me,
Yeah.
And it's a sense of like, you might not even realise that there is an audience out there for you if you're getting cancelled, and a lot of people agree with you.
Yeah.
But when it's like that sheep herd mentality, it's getting criticised at that scale, and there's like the well-being, and it's like, sometimes that can make you reflect and go, okay, now I need to see the my ways basically and how it affects other people. You've seen it with like Ye, and he's tried to do his thing and tried to do the redemption arc, and he's talked about like the mental health toll of having, was it schizophrenia? Schizophrenia, about having an effect on like how he is. There has to be an element of when your mental health is affected, say if you're acting out of character, there has to be a redemption arc for when you do get cancelled, because that's just
but I also think that people sometimes use mental health as a card to remove that accountability, right? Like if you have been diagnosed with something as intricate as schizophrenia, social media cannot be your help. Like social media cannot be your support. You need like professionals to help you deal with this condition. That's what should be your support, and your family, and your group and stuff like that. So I'm gonna remove that from the question.
so just like again, I think we've answered this before, but like, do you think people can genuinely change, or will the internet never let you change?
I think people can change within, but there's a limit to it. No one can change without consequences. I'm not saying that cancel culture should be the consequence that leads you to change, but I think that if you're someone that is known for doing terrible things, people always bring this, let's separate the art from the artist, and there's things that you cannot separate. There's some people that use their lives as like their basis for their creativity. So when you're supporting the artist, you're also supporting the person. And there's things that you just can't change. But one good question that you asked earlier, and we never really talked about it, was kind of like, how do you redeem yourself? Like what can you actually do? What actions can you take to show that you've changed or that you want to change? I think there's certain things that people can do. I think we should create a probation period. Like give the person like a year or 2 years to continuously like do certain tasks. Be like, if you do this for like 2 years, we believe that you've changed. Something like that.
The danger of that is that if you kind of tell people that, then they'll just do it for 2 years. Knowing that, and it's a very long time. It's a very long time, so it's not. It's hard for you to do something for 2 years just to pretend something. True. But I also think. Sorry, I also think that with the internet, now the flip side to that is with the world the way it is now, and the fact that there's absolutely like I don't know what even measurements point it, but there's a shed load of content out there and opinions and whatever else that actually. I think it's easier that the fade factor kicks in a lot sooner. So something that you might have seen like a month ago, you've probably forgotten about it. So, do you know what I mean? Because there's so many other things that you've seen since, and so many other clips and whatever you've seen since, that just fade into the background. So in a way, it's probably slightly easier to get redeemed as long as you're not carrying on doing the same stupid shit. It's a bit easier to get redeemed in that regard, maybe. people always remember, but they'll have to have it put in front of them to remember. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not going to be in the forefront of people's heads because they've just seen 20,000 other clips on Instagram and they've took those in. So I think the fade factor is a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think this is an amazing episode. I could probably do like part 2, 3, 4, but
easy.
Just to close out, final question. You know, we got 3 podcasters on here doing it some time now, but like, start off with Romy. Is how do you protect yourself from internalizing what strangers think of you on the internet?
That's such a funny question. I had a really interesting conversation with a friend yesterday about this. With all due respect, I do not care about opinions of people that I don't know. If I don't know you, I don't know what you do with your life. I don't know what your beliefs are. I do not care. But then I'm talking about from a space of where I'm a person that doesn't have a very like large following. So at this stage, there's not much that I need to do because honestly, if you're a stranger and I don't know you, I don't care about what you say about me.
Love that. And it's true. And look, I get abuse online, not through the pod actually, it's more through work. And not, you know, it's more or on X or whatever. We're trying to stay away from X now.
Yeah.
Absolute cesspit. But I might post on there every 2 weeks or whatever. Anyway, I posted something. Do you remember when the Leeds players, some of the Leeds fans were booing?
You really like football.
I do like football.
He's a big football fan.
So are you. He knows more. Not like an encyclopedia.
Not this season. Not this season with Chelsea. Carry on.
Well, we won't mention a recent result of ours. But anyway, City beat Chelsea yesterday. Whatever. So, yeah, I think that with that, I posted something that said all the Leeds fans who booed the Ramadan break, because it's literally, but I don't know if you saw it, but it's literally a break where Muslim players could come off and just have a gel, and that was it. They weren't sitting and eating a 3-course meal, they're having a gel, 30 seconds, back on the pitch, carry on. And some Leeds fans, I won't say all, but some Leeds fans booed it. It's like, why would you do it? It's 30 seconds. Like, sometimes substitution takes longer than that.
Yeah.
You know, and they've just ran off, had a gel, come back on. Whatever. Anyway, so I posted and said, every single Leeds fan that booed that Ramadan break, you're a scumbag. Because, and I used that word because I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. And that's one thing that I won't, racism, that's one thing I won't filter on, because that's a core belief. That's something that you would never, ever have me sit next to a racist and just agree with them for the sake of keeping the peace. Hell no. Yeah. So I posted that. This guy comes on, I shit you not. And it was like, oh, you didn't have this much outrage at the Manchester Arena bombing when Asians were bombing. And I said, what do you mean I didn't have the outrage? Of course I did. Because anything like that is bad. It doesn't matter who detonated the thing. It doesn't matter. It's bad anyway. Like, that's a universal belief that I have. And he's coming out saying, you didn't show the same outrage for that. You didn't show the same outrage when this particular person or whatever.
But I think it's because you're a public figure. So people are always looking for like to highlight certain elements of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I don't know. Sorry, I'm going to go on a rant. No, I'm going to try and I'm going to pull it back. Well, no. So I was annoyed, but what squashed it at the end of it all was me just saying, hold on a minute, I don't know this person. This person doesn't know me. This person would not say half those things to me if they were stood in front of me.
Yeah.
Period. That they wouldn't. I know they wouldn't. And not because I'm a big scary guy, I'm not, but they wouldn't have the bollocks because they probably don't even really believe it. They're probably just typing just to get a reaction and just to get some whatever on there. So, and the profile picture is always a picture of something else and it's not them. So I said, put your profile picture. And I'm like, show me you. You can see me. Let me see you.
Search the IP address. Let's say
that. Can't be going into that dark territory. But just putting it around that point off. You know, he was then saying, he was literally did like a grok thing, or at grok, has Gem Antonio, whatever my handle is, ever said anything about like Muslim atrocities or whatever. And I was just like, are you really pouring this much time into this?
But you've got to remember, like, that's what they want.
Yeah, well,
that's what they want. That's what I'm saying, like the internalizing what strangers think.
I think but my reaction came off the fact that I was offended that he would think that I wouldn't view that atrocity in the same way. I mean, this wasn't even an atrocity. We're talking about fans booing it. Isn't even an atrocity, do you know what I mean? But he's comparing it to an atrocity. Or she, could have been a she, I don't know, because the profile picture was generic, whatever. But yeah, and I didn't lose it. But I was just like, hold on, you don't know me from Adam. Like, you only know me from what you've seen on there. And actually, if you knew me, you'd know how outraged I was about the Manchester bombing, because I'm from Manchester. I worked at the arena, you worked at the arena. We're close to that. I had to cover that for how long? Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think it.
if you knew me, you would know how outraged I was at that.
But I think it comes down to the point of like, you know, we can't do what we do if we have this internalized thing. Like we did an episode a few weeks ago, and go listen back to that, listeners, about our spring reset. And one of the things I'm resetting on is decentering people's opinions about me. That's whether it's on social media, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's anything we do, because we can't do what we do if we don't, because we put ourselves out there every single week for the last 2 years, and you through your job as well, because you can't please everyone. As that Kendrick Lamar song said, you can't please everyone. So, well, that's been an amazing episode, honestly. Like, not just saying this because you're here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But, like, honestly, like, this is one of my favorite episodes I recorded, and thanks for suggesting this topic.
Absolutely.
And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and your podcast?
Oh, I know this question is coming. Okay. So my socials. Anyways, so people can find me on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at The Pyjamas Club on all the platforms. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, and my personal page is Romy Gama. So ROMY.
Say that again.
Oh, right.
The name. Say the name again.
Romy. It's just the R is very, it's the Latin R.
Got to do it proper.
Yeah.
Romy. No, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love it. Well, thanks for coming. We've really enjoyed it so far.
Been really good. And also, we need an invite to the next Mafia episode 2. We need an invite.
Okay.
We got that, yeah?
Okay. Are you guys good liars? Come on.
No, I don't think I am. I think I get to the point where I'm just like, and I'll just kind of just break.
I don't know if Mafia is for you, because the group they're good liars.
I'm not for the challenge.
Okay.
We'll sign ourselves on. I'll make sure he's there.
Okay.
But thanks for listeners for being here as well. Do check out our stuff. Do check out Pyjama Club podcast as well.
Absolutely.
Been a great episode, great topic. Thanks for joining us, and peace.
Bye.